Hey y'all, today we're going to show you how we make ribeye steaks using our Ninja Foodi. Oh, we're having a whole lot of fun. Shook it all! Hi, welcome back to another edition of Cooking Chris's Dishes with the good old boy, where we're cooking up dishes straight from recipes.crock.com, my beautiful wife's cooking blog. And today we're going to use our Ninja Foodi again because, well, it's raining. You see, we're traveling around the United States. We found our way to Florida, and it's raining, and raining, and raining. Guess what it did yesterday? It rained. Guess what it did all day today? Rained. Guess what it's going to do tomorrow? Rain. So, well, we want to use the grill. We were going to grill out tonight. We were going to make steaks on the grill, like you're supposed to. But it's hard to do when sugar melts. Wow. Somebody's over there working and thinks that's funny. Yeah. But it's the truth. I don't like to get wet all that much. So, I know, why'd you come to Florida, right, Mike? But anyway, I don't like to stand out in the rain to cook steaks. So, this is a good opportunity to try one of the other functions on our Ninja Foodi. In fact, she's talking to me right now. Notice this. Notice, I was doing a preheat, and I can still touch my Ninja. Don't do that, because on the back is another vent, and if you touch it in the wrong place, you're going to burn your fingers. Want to know how I know? I'm not going to tell you because it just makes me look bad. But what we're going to do is we're going to make some ribeye steaks in our Ninja Foodi. What I have here are some thick cut ribeyes. They're very well marbled. You can see the fat all interlaced in there with the meat. These are some good looking ribeye steaks. And all I want to do... Hang on, that's kind of cool. What's that? It's like a fun little helicopter. Anyway, what I want to do, other than listen to the rain, is I just want to take these steaks and I want to sprinkle them liberally with salt. I want to sprinkle them with some pepper. I want to sprinkle them with some Mitchell Street seasoning, which is our favorite seasoning to use. I've seen folks use like any other kind of steak seasoning. Ours is Mitchell Street. That's the one we go for. But whatever you want to use, you could just use salt and pepper if and you wanna. I'm not such a naturalist when it comes to steak. I know the way my steaks taste good. And then now what I want to do is I want to pat them and make sure that those spices stick to the meat. Flip my steaks over and do it again. Now notice, I touched those steaks with this hand, so I will use this hand that did not touch the steaks and sprinkle that on top again. You're going to do your salt. And again, I want to be pretty liberal because I want a crust on this because it adds more flavor. Now I realize to do the pepper grinder I need to wash my hands, so I'll be right back. Alright, hands are washed. Pepper on there. And it just depends on how much you want. I like pepper. I like salt. That's what I'm going to use. Same thing with my steak seasoning. Again, whatever kind you want. Some folks use garlic salt, a little bit of onion powder. Some people get, you know, like the actual store-bought steak seasonings. It's whatever you want. And then, because I still want that flavor of a grilled steak, I'm going to use some liquid smoke. Just a little bit, just a dash, right over the top of that meat. It's going to soak in a little bit, and it's going to just give it a little bit of that grilled flavor. Well, yeah, maybe if I flip that steak over and get some on this side. Just like that. Now, one thing you were hearing when I said my Ninja was singing to me is I preheated it, because just like you would with a grill, just like you would with a broiler, or if you're going to bake anything in an oven, you want to preheat it because you're wanting hot, direct heat on this meat. At least that's the way I do it when I cook it. Gordon Ramsay may disagree. Guess what? He don't know me, I don't know him. It's okay. So I'm going to slide those in there, and they're sizzling because I have got this preheated, which also means careful when you touch it. Now I can't do any more than 2 steaks at one time, that's for sure, but I think 2 steaks will be just fine for me. So now what I want to do, let me wipe off my hands real quick. I'm out of paper towels, Kim. Is I want to turn this back on, and I want to go to the broil setting, broil, and I want it to go for 9 minutes and hit start. That's all I have to do, except halfway through I want to flip my steaks. So in 4.5 minutes, that should give me a time to flip over, and then it's going to cook for another 4.5 minutes. When that's done, I'm going to remove those steaks. I'm going to let them sit. I'm not going to touch them for 5 whole minutes. And what that's going to do is it's going to let that meat rest. Now, we had a question in our comments from one of our Crock Posse members on how do you get your steaks to be more tender, because mine are always really tough. Well, there's a couple things you need to think about. One, it's the cut of meat you get, how much fat is in that meat, what part of the cow did it come from. Like a ribeye is going to be a tender piece of meat, top sirloin is going to be a tender piece of meat, depending on how you cut some of your other pieces of meat. I know Alton Brown has already talked about that in like a Good Eats episode on how you cut your meat, but like a fillet is another good example. It's not a very used muscle on a cow, so therefore it's going to be a more tender muscle. That's another way to do it. But something else, when you get your meat from a store, it's cold. Sometimes it's frozen even. What you want to do is you want to let that meat set for a while on your counter, let it get almost to room temperature, and everybody freaks out and says, oh, you don't want your meat to get to room temperature. You're going to cook it right away, leave it covered, don't leave it out, but you know, leave it covered, let it get to about room temperature, because that meat won't then seize up when it's in your cooking vessel, whether that be your grill, your oven, or as we're doing is our Ninja Foodi. So, we've got about 7 minutes and 22 seconds left. I want that to be at 4 minutes and 30 seconds, and I will flip those steaks. For you, that's going to be 4 minutes and 30 seconds right about now. Now, it has been 4 minutes and 30 seconds, so my steak should be halfway cooked. So what I want to do is, we're going to take a look at them. You can see they're starting to bubble up there. That look good. That fat is starting to crisp up on the sides right there. That is a good sign. These are thicker steaks, so I need to be careful that I don't undercook them. I like my steaks to be on the what I call the moo side of medium rare, if you know what I mean. But these steaks may have to take a wee bit longer because they're thicker than the ones I was using as prototypes. But they're still looking good. See how they're even starting to get those grill marks on them? That's where I went and preheated. Look at that, isn't that pretty? So now, all I gotta do, that holds the time. I'm gonna set this, I'm gonna let it go for another 4.5 minutes, and then when we come back, we're gonna check our work and see what they look like. If they're not done, I'm gonna let them go for a couple minutes longer on the broil feature. We'll see what happens in 3, 2, 1. And now another 4.5 minutes have gone by. It's saying cool. That's just going into a cool down mode. I'm gonna go ahead because I'm impatient. I'm gonna check out these steaks. Let's look at them together, boys and girls. Maybe if I turn my camera on. But if you check that out, look and you see how the fat has all crisped up. Look at that bubbling through there. That is so pretty. And it's starting to steam up. So what I want to do is I'm going to cheat because I want to see how well I did, because honestly, this is an experiment. Even though I've tested 2 other steaks out, this is an experiment. I'm just going to cut a little sliver into one of those pieces and peek in. And I'm telling you right now, I'm done. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take them out of that heat that's in there, and I am going to let them rest. They've done a lot. So they're going to sit just like this, and I'm not going to touch them for 5 whole minutes. I want that to rest. I want those juices to kind of set up in there. Otherwise, if I really cut into that steak, all the juices are going to run out and you're going to have a dry piece of meat. So 5 minutes starting now. We'll come back and then I'll show you just how good I did in 3, 2, 1. And 5 minutes have gone by. We have let our steaks rest. My mouth is watering because it looks good. Let's see how good we did. Now this was, you know, steaks that were brought up to room temperature. They were seasoned on both sides. I sprinkled a little liquid smoke so I'd still get that grilled flavor, you know, that smoky flavor. And then we went 4.5 minutes on one side, flipped it, went 4.5 minutes on the other side, let it rest for 5 minutes. So that's 14 minutes with a minute of prep. 15 minutes to get steaks. And let's just see. Oh, my knife is running straight through there. Like I said, I like my steaks on the moo side of medium rare, if y'all know what I mean. To me, that is perfect. I got my beautiful camera lady over there picking it up for me.
Yeah, that's perfect for you,
that is
but
perfect
not
for me. Now for Cris,
oops, sorry.
I'm going to put those in there for a couple more minutes. Now for me. People tend to over-season their steaks, so they think they got to marinate, they got to do all kinds of stuff, and that's fine. You cook your meat however you want to. Salt and pepper is fine. We like to go a step further and put something that's got a few more herbs and spices on it, but we don't go over the top. But then I wanted to add that liquid smoke just to get a little more of that grilled flavor, and it worked, y'all. Just a little sprinkling goes a long, long way. You might not like it. I don't think it's a mistake at all.
So to recap for everybody, it's the cut of steak that's going to make it tender. It's how
the cut
long
of
you
steak.
cook it.
It's going to be the temperature you put it under heat with. So bring it to room temperature. That meat won't seize up. If you put cold meat for some reason, I don't know the science behind it. Again, call Alton Brown. He's a genius on this. If you let your steak, whatever kind of meat it is you're going to cook like your steak, if you let it go and raise up to temperature and then cook it, it won't seize up. It'll be a lot more tender. If you let your meat rest, all those juices that are now cooked up in that steak are going to settle in that meat. Otherwise, when you cut it, it's just going to run out. If you let it set up a little bit, let that fat that's in that steak mix with all the juices that are in that steak, mix with all the flavor that's in that steak, every single bite is going to be delicious, as you can tell. Because one, you know I'm a steak guy, and two, I don't know, this is my third, fourth, fifth bite, and I'm not done until I'm done with this steak. So, Chris's steak for medium, I'm actually going to put that back in there. The problem with the way I did that, just to be honest, what I'm thinking here, is it's going to dry that out a little bit. But I didn't cut into that steak. This is the one that I cut into to test, so all those juices are still held in there. I'm hoping it works out. If not, sorry.
You made a mistake.
She took my own joke. But that's how you do steaks in the Ninja Foodi. In 15 minutes, you're going to get a perfectly cooked steak if you like it like me. 18 minutes, maybe 20, depending if you're a medium to medium well. If you like it well done, what's wrong with you? Also, they're a little bit thicker steaks. If you're doing a thinner steak, you're going to want to cut the time back because you're not heating up that much meat versus what we got here, which are about an inch thick steaks. To me, thicker is better. So, that's the way we do steaks right now. I'm getting looks from the director back there. We thank you so much for joining us here watching me cook and eat steak and cooking up Chris's dishes. If you like what you see here, please give us a thumbs up. And also, down below is this little thing called a subscribe button. If you click that, you join the Crock Posse. What are the do's? Clicking the subscribe button, watching our videos, giving us likes, whatever you want to do. Let us know what you want us to cook and we'll be happy to do so. Also, down below is a little bell. We call that bell the ding-a-ling, and that ding-a-ling lets us know that you want to see videos as soon as we put them up, and we'll shoot them right at you when you want them. And also, whatever you do, laugh often.
Eat good food.
And speak life.
See y'all later. Bye. Hello, and welcome to another edition of Cooking Meat with Mikey.
You sound like Anthony Hopkins.
Hello, Cris. If you want to see the latest, click on the left right here. If you feel like subscribing, click on the right, my dear. And if you think we're funny enough to send us money, click the Patreon.